Hi everyone, welcome to Design Upgrade and thank you so much for tuning in. Just wanted to inform you that this video lesson is part of a larger online course, which actually itself is one of many other courses that you can find on our main site courses.design-upgrade.com. Hope to see you soon there, and now please enjoy the video and also leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you like the content. Alrighty then, so let's go to our main section again. Get rid of the annotation, go to perspective. Okay. So I want to draw two lines. For that, I first of all want to have a new layer, and I want to say those are going to be rails. Right? I want to perform a sweep mechanism, but first of all, I need to have two rails. I'm gonna go and draw, or just type in line. Right? Start at 0, and then type in 0,40. Should be fine. Take that line, copy it, put it somewhere along this line here, right? So whatever, should be fine. Take those two lines, say rebuild, and I want to say rebuild them by 3 and degree is 2. Perfect. Now I'm gonna take this curve, select it, get the midpoint, and I kind of want to already shape that, so I'm gonna take my gumball and just ever so slightly push it in, just to give it a bit more of an interesting kind of flow. This is going to be the bridge actually, right? And now we want to get another layer, say extrusion. Select it, and we have to select everything here, our main cross section, and just say join. Join, yeah. So we have this geometry now here, and before I do the sweep mechanism, I want to say record history. Okay, super. So now I say sweep 2. I want to select this edge as my two rails, and the cross section is going to be this guy, and I say enter. Alright, so already now if I go to shade it, you will see the preview of my new interesting bridge. Right? We could leave it as it is with the straight sections. I could also do something as a rebuild. Yeah, and this is interesting because determining on how many points you give this, so enter. So with the rebuild cross section, what that does, it will project or divide the initial curve and put, let's say, 20 points on that and rebuild the cross section based on that 20 points. And if I increase those points, the more precise it will be actually to the initial curve that I had. So let's say 50, enter, you can see now it's getting more and more precise to that initial curve that I had, and I can just say, let's say 75, and you can see it's still kind of, it's getting more crisp to what I had before, but it's a nicer kind of bend geometry that I get there. So if you want to have that, play with that. Otherwise, do not change the cross section. Yeah, we can also leave it as it is. Let's actually try to do with the control points. I'm going to say 80 maybe to even make it more controlled, and say all right. So the nice thing about this is actually that if you go to shade it or render it, whatever, you can now, any of those curves you can change, and this will have an effect of your initial curve. So let's take the cross section, for instance. I can take this guy, move it downwards, and the geometry will change, right? Control Z. I can also change my initial curve here and take this guy, and also say maybe we want to even make it steeper or make it even wider, so you can really now custom design it the way that you want that to be, right? So that is good to know. And another thing that we could just simply do is just, you know, record history, take this guy, the surface, and say mirror, and just mirror it along the axis. Control or hold your shift key, and Y is the axis, and now that should be kind of defined. And when I control my surface, I shape it, and both now will be shaped the same way. Yeah, so that's kind of nice, and you are already kind of modeling in a more top level way, and we have this, you know, nice kind of cross section of a bridge, which is arbitrary, but whatever, right? All right, so now what I want to do is just create some more details. It's going to create a new layer, call it pipe, although it's not the best name for that. And what I want to do is to go to my rails. Those are actually my rails, my extrusion, all nice. Gonna take this guy, yeah, and go to pipe and say copy object to layer. Gonna hide this extrusion I can put on, and this is now my new layer. Gonna select this point and just move it up, let's say, I don't know, 12. As you can see, this is going to be our arcing, my arc structure there. So I can say -2, you can play with that, doesn't really matter. What I want to do though, is I want to go to the right, I want to go to the front, yeah? Gonna go to shaded, and I want to go to rails and put off my extrusion. Now this is a bit extreme, it's a bit difficult, but what I want to do is just rotate my slope here and use my smart track. Yeah, put on your smart track, lock this point, and just move it upwards until you actually get the intersection. And for that, you also need to put on your intersection here. But if you do so, you'll get the intersection point. Let's say that our final cross section is kind of final. Yeah, so this is actually the way that we wanted it to be. And I can then take this guy again, rotate, put it here, and maybe I want to have the mid as my marking. Yes, put it up and do the int. And what this just is going to do is that my mids of those two lines are going to be a perfect straight line, right? So that's something that I'm trying to do there, something like this, right? Doesn't matter, but it's all good. And we can then use this pipe here and say we want to do a pipe. So literally just a pipe command. And before you do that, just keep in mind, do the record history so you can alter that, take it, pipe it, give it some extrusions like 0.15 as a diameter. No, we do not want to make it too fat, and enter. And as you can see, we have now our structure there. That's a bit steep, but the nice thing about this is we can just select our initial curve, take that point and just move it up. If we feel that this is just too steep, looks a bit better, we can also put it up, etc., etc. So you can just play with that, and we can then again do our record history, take that pipe and say mirror along the central axis. Just make sure, shift key, Y. Well, there you go. Now we already have our context there. No? And just to make it kind of interesting, we could go to rendered, and just for the pipes, I'm going to go to material, give it, let's say, metal. Just going to take the default that comes with the metal series, yeah. And for my extrusion, I'm going to go to layer, go more to types, so the material, more types. Going to go to this import from file, architectural, walls, concrete, and just take a concrete that you like, pretty much. Let's test this one. Yeah, it's not super, but it's going to do the job just fine for now, right? And there you go, we already have this more detailed geometry. The last thing I want to do is just bring in those kind of foots or landings, support structure, which actually makes no sense at all. Structural wise, you wouldn't do it like so, but I just wanted to show it to you and then kind of finalize this example. All right, well done. So let's just finalize this. Going to go to my initial cross section, and I do not need anything else. Maybe for now, I just want to go to shaded to not crash it actually. And I just want to draw, first of all, a line. Before I do that, create a new layer and say support. And in support, just create a new layer, sub layer, and a new layer. And I want to say, I don't know, 3D. And this is curve, just to be a bit more clean. And in curve, I'm going to draw a line. Just going to go to dark gray so we can actually see something. Just going to say line, vertical, start there, type in 7. And 7 is too much. Let's say 5. 5 is good. And then I'm going to go here in the midpoint, say vertical, say 0.5. Yep. And then this guy goes to the, I don't know, mid. Right? That's good. Trim. use trim to trim off the upper part. Now we have these 3 parts, right? And this guy, we want to move it by 1. Yeah, 1 is good. Take this point, select that point, move only this point to that new location. All right. All right. Looks fine. We could also take everything here, say pon, and select those 2 points. Move it maybe 0.5 more. That looks a bit better. Now we take these 2 lines and we just say join. I hope this is not too fast. If so, hopefully you can just pause the video. I'm just doing like a support with 4 fingers. That's what I'm doing. I think you saw the image. So I'm just going to copy this guy and say mirror along this axis, along the z-axis, in this case shift, and I have that. Now I'm going to bring in back my extrusion because I have a geometry that is actually kind of revolving. So I want to select that I just moved and say pon. And I want to select only these 2 points here, as you can see, right? And ever so slightly just want to move them along the x-axis so they're kind of in the middle-ish. Yeah, we do not need to be super precise, but it's a bit different than my original support structure there. That's pretty much it. So what we can do now is just copy this guy in place. It's going to apply the I. Yeah, it's selected. Just take these 2 and say join. Now select down the curve. This is the single curve. Take this curve, say join. Now we want to say, select both of them, say fillet corner, and just type in 0.5. This will just, make our lines a bit more curved. And I want to say pipe. And before you do the pipe, just take record history, say that pipe. The upper part here should be 0.15, the lower part 0.4, and enter. It's a bit fat. We can change that if you want, but for now maybe it's okay. Gonna do the same thing with this curve. Just gonna, before I do it, say record history, take that guy 0.15 and the lower one is 0.4, enter. Now we have this guy, select the surfaces, put them onto 3D, and then say record history, mirror. Get the center point there, here, and just rotate them, shift, and use shift and your y-axis, and copy should be yes, otherwise it's not going to be good. And well, there you go. We have actually this guy, so we can select the surfaces here, and we can also say mirror. Before we do that, record history, and we select the mirror of our, or the center of our bridge here, and mirror that to the other side. Hopefully that was not too fast, but if you bring everything together, we should have this kind of nice detail now, and support the 3D. We can give the same treatment of metal. And yeah, well, voila, there you go. So we have, using basic stuff, we have actually a very nice kind of first design concept, let's say, of our bridge. Yeah, we have the area where people can take their bicycle. We have the area where you can walk, you can sit down on this very nice kind of rounded up geometry. You also have some nice features if you want to include your lights, you want to include some other feature, and you have this kind of 4-point tripod that is holding it up. Although structurally, again, it doesn't make sense, so please don't take me on that, but you could now go and continue on putting those cross ropes there. Yeah, they needs to be there to make it structurally logical to have that. But that's, in a nutshell, a very good, I think, example to see how we can take those simple methods and transfer them already to some more complex shapes.